Right now at noon, the Wisconsin Supreme Court hears oral arguments in a lawsuit challenging restrictions placed on the governor during a lame duck session. We'll have an update. And for the first time in almost 2 decades, the Bucks are in the Eastern Conference Finals. We'll share how fans are trying to ward off a curse at tonight's game against the Raptors.
From the Channel3000.com Alert Center, this is News 3 Now at noon.
Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to News 3 Now. I'm Mark Kane along with Dave Caulfield, who is looking at the weather. Another spectacular day.
Yeah, I mean, if the atmosphere just keeps putting out days like this, I'm just going to take a little vacation.
There you go.
Because it is so nice outside, nice and sunny and warm, a little bit on the mild side. We can see on our visible cloud track here that we're looking at a few clouds just to the north of us. That is a cold front that will come through. Could spark off a shower or two later this afternoon. I'm really not expecting much in the way of rain. I think most of us are going to enjoy the sunny weather that we're seeing right now in the early afternoon. Like in Madison, the WISC-TV Skycam, temperatures are in the upper 60s and lower 70s once again at the noon hour. Dew points, though, they're in the 50s, so that's still comfortable, but we're starting to feel that humidity a little bit more than we have been, at least. But if we can stay in the 50s, we'll be okay. It's when we start to get to the 60s that it starts to feel a little bit sticky outside. Wind speeds not too bad out there, pretty calm for the most part. So temps in the 70s once again later this afternoon for the second straight day. Then as we head into tomorrow, our rain and storm chances really start to ramp up. We'll talk about a rainy stretch of weather possible into this weekend in your first alert forecast.
Right, so enjoy today.
Yes.
All right, Dave, we'll see you in a few minutes. Thank you. Topping the news today, conservative state Supreme Court justices are questioning the argument that Republican lawmakers convened illegally during a lame duck session last year. The Wisconsin Supreme Court wrapped up oral arguments an hour ago in a lawsuit challenging laws passed by Republican-controlled legislator during a lame duck session in December. The laws weaken the powers of Democratic Governor Tony Evers and Attorney General Josh Kaul. A group of liberal-leaning organizations sued in January, arguing that the extraordinary sessions are illegal. A Dane County judge sided with them in January, and Republicans asked the Supreme Court to overturn that decision. The Republican lawmakers argued today that the lame duck sessions were legal because the legislature never adjourned after its work in the spring of last year. The man suspected of pepper spraying a Columbia County deputy has been arrested after being spotted in the Sauk Prairie area. 30-year-old Joshua Martin was listed as a missing person from Dane County. He was pulled over for speeding early Monday morning when he allegedly sprayed the deputy's eyes. Madison police looking for a missing 14-year-old who didn't come home from school yesterday. According to an incident report, Rayvon Rim was last seen in the area of Hammersley Road and Teresa Terrace that is right near Falk Elementary School. Officials say they do not believe he's a victim of a crime, but said it's out of character for him not to come home. You're asked to call 911 if you see him. The head of the FAA was on Capitol Hill today testifying about the government's role in approving the Boeing 737 MAX. That airliner has been grounded following 2 deadly crashes. In October, 189 people were killed when a 737 MAX went down off the coast of Indonesia. Another 157 died in March in a similar crash in Ethiopia. The Justice Department has opened a criminal investigation into Boeing. It's focused on whether the company misled regulators who certified the plane's airworthiness.
How did that get certified? How can we have a single point of failure on a modern aircraft?
Boeing says it's working to get the MAX jets back into the air. Searchers in southeastern Alaska recovered 2 more bodies overnight after an accident involving 2 sightseeing planes loaded with cruise ship passengers. Preliminary data shows one plane carrying 11 people was headed southwest, descended to about 3,300 feet. The second plane with 5 aboard was moving in a similar direction at about the same altitude before the collision. The mid-air collision killed 6 people, 4 Americans, a Canadian, and an Australian. 10 more people were hurt. Colorado prosecutors have charged the students suspected of opening fire at their school with more than a dozen counts of murder and attempted murder. The shootings at the STEM school Highlands Ranch killed 1 student and injured 8 others. Investigators say 18-year-old Devon Erickson and 16-year-old Alec McKinney used handguns in the shooting. It's not clear if McKinney was being charged as an adult. Tonight, a memorial service is planned for 18-year-old Kendrick Castillo. More local news now. 1,000 guests in town for UW-Madison's graduation this weekend brought in $133,000 to Airbnb owners. The company said this was the second largest surge of guests to Madison in the history of the room booking platform. August CrossFit's game still holds that record. According to Airbnb, the surge also brought in additional tax revenue due to a room tax agreement with the city. A Madison-based brewery is looking forward to its grand opening of a new Door County location. One Barrel Brewing has been on Atwood Avenue since 2012, and now they're opening a second location in Egg Harbor. The new tap room and beer garden will open Memorial Day weekend along with signature beers. You can also get food from Wild Tomato wood-fried pizza and grill that's opening inside the brewery. The Milwaukee Bucks will make their first appearance in the Eastern Conference Finals since 2001. With Game 1 tipping off tonight in Milwaukee, Giannis and the rest of the Bucks have had a few days off since wrapping up the series win over the Boston Celtics, while the Raptors are fresh off a last-second win in their Game 7 of their series. Tip-off is set for 7:30 tonight at the Pfizer Forum. You can also watch the game on TNT. And Bucks fans are hoping they can avoid falling victim to rapper Drake's curse. Originally from Canada, he's a huge Raptors fan. Drake's curse has doomed the teams for years. He brings bad luck to teams he cheers for. Recently, he wore Philadelphia Sixers shorts when they lost to the Raptors in Game 7.
He should wear no Bucks gear at all.
I believe he better not ever touch a Giannis jersey. I believe that is one of the worst things that could ever happen to him.
Radio station Kiss FM has vowed not to play any Drake music until after the finals. Well, there's more to come on News 3 Now at noon. I'm next. We'll see what Howard's working on in the Mr. Food Test Kitchen.
Today's slow cooker recipe has a secret ingredient in it. Any ideas what it is? Come on, it's right in front of you. I don't know about you, but I'm not one of those people who puts their slow cooker away for the summer. As a matter of fact, I tend to use it even more since it keeps my kitchen nice and cool. So today, I thought I'd show you how to make one of my new summertime favorites that's low in carbs and goes together like this. We start by searing a couple pork tenderloins until they're nice and brown on all sides. Then we put them in a slow cooker and top them with some thinly sliced onions, root beer, and a good amount of barbecue sauce. The secret that makes it so flavorful, it's the combo of the root beer with the barbecue sauce. And if we're watching our carbs and calories, we can always use a diet root beer. After they cook for most of the day, we shred the tender as can be pork with a couple of forks until it mixes with the sauce. Then we can eat it on a roll, or for a diabetic-friendly and lower carb option, maybe serve it on some Bibb lettuce along with some shredded carrots, scallions, and coleslaw. And when you roll it up and take your first bite, get ready for some good eating. So here's what I suggest. Go online and get the recipe for our down-home shredded pork. This way you'll have one of my summertime favorites whenever you need it. I'm Howard in the Mr. Food Test Kitchen, where today we found a low and slow way for you to say, ooh, it's so good.
Thank you, Howard. We have a stretch of warm weather starting today with temperatures breaking into the 70s, but showers could return tomorrow. Dave Caulfield will share the details in your first alert forecast next. Our call for action phone bank is open right now, ready to take on your consumer issue. You can call our hotline. Volunteers will help you with any consumer complaints. The number is 608-270-2833. The service is open every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday between 11 and 1. The Federal Communications Commission wants to help end robocalls. The agency's proposal would give phone companies authorities to block the calls by default. That means you wouldn't have to do anything. You just wouldn't receive the calls anymore. The technology to do this already exists, but companies have not released their solutions over fears they could be considered illegal. If approved, the change could take effect as early as later this year. Police departments and other city agencies in San Francisco are banned from using facial recognition technology. Diane King Hall explains in today's Money Watch report.
Consumers kept a tighter grip on their wallets in April. According to the Commerce Department, retail sales fell 0.2%. Economists were expecting a slight increase. Keep in mind, this is a closely watched metric because consumers make up about 2/3 of economic activity. On the flip side, e-commerce sales helped give Macy's a big boost in its latest quarter. The department store chain says it earned $136 million during the first 3 months of the year. That was much better than expected, and shares rose in early trade. Meantime, San Francisco has become the first city to ban facial recognition technology. A bill approved yesterday outlaws the use of the technology by police and other agencies. It does not prevent businesses or households from using facial recognition or surveillance technology, such as on their own security cameras. San Francisco's new rule goes into effect next month. And American tourists will soon be able to get more than a Big Mac at McDonald's in Austria. Beginning today, the fast food chain will start serving as mini embassies. Services include reporting a lost or stolen passport or getting travel assistance. McDonald's says the U.S. consulate selected it because of the brand's fame among Americans. And that's your CBS Money Watch report. For more, head to cbsmoneywatch.com. At the New York Stock Exchange, I'm Diane King Hall.
Thank you, Diane. Let's check Wall Street at the noon hour. The Dow Industrial's up 121 points. It was down earlier in the morning. The NASDAQ up 73, and the S&P 500 gaining almost 17 points. Let's check in now with Q106 Farm Director Pam Yankee with all the latest ag news. Hi, Pam.
Well, it's nice to know that if I'm in Australia, I can grab a burger while I'm in line for my passport. Good. Now we're all squared up here. Let's talk a little bit about what's happening in agribusiness news. You know, for the past number of weeks, it's been all about tariffs and who's imposing what on whom. Well, I'll tell you what, in Wisconsin, it's kind of hard sometimes to connect the dots and find out how those tariffs are impacting us here at home. Neil Kemet is the president and CEO of Ace Ethanol up in Stanley and also Fox Valley Ethanol in Oshkosh. He said there's two major components that are hurting their industry: tariffs, but not the tariffs that are taking markets away from our Wisconsin ethanol producing facilities, but instead ethanol that's produced outside Wisconsin that now doesn't have an international marketplace that's flooding into the markets that Wisconsin used to serve. He said the other issue that they're monitoring is E15 use year-round. It's a regulation that the federal government's supposed to be taking action on. He said it's nothing like it's going to turn the industry around, but he said over the next 5 years, it could create a 1.5 billion gallon need in the marketplace, which the ethanol industry would welcome. We've got 9 ethanol plants here in the state of Wisconsin. So markets on the midday are again trending just a little bit higher. There's still some concerns over what's going to happen in the I states, Iowa, Illinois, and Indiana with wet weather. I talked to a guy yesterday that said he was driving through a rainstorm in Iowa that was so heavy he had to pull over. So just because we're enjoying dry weather right now doesn't mean that that's the way it's going to stay. Barrel cheese in Chicago was up a penny and a quarter today at 161 and a quarter. 40-pound block cheese down a quarter at 165 3/4. The double A butter 2 1/4 cents higher today, closed at 237 and a quarter. And again, Mark, like we talked about yesterday, this is the glorious time of the year in the state of Wisconsin. The humidity isn't there yet. The bugs not quite as thick as they'll be in about 45 days. And more importantly, our Wisconsin farmers, just a little bit more dry weather, even in some of those damp, wet fields that we've got out there, will get us in the fields hopefully by Friday and Saturday. That is if Mr. New York City can hang on to the dry weather that long.
He's doing what he can.
Yes.
All right, Pam, thank you. Let's head over there, Mr. New York City.
Yeah, unfortunately, I don't think I can hang on to that dry weather much longer, Pam. And for all those that want to keep what we've been experiencing around, I totally get it, because this weather seems like a dream outside. Yesterday, highs right around 70 degrees across southern Wisconsin, and temperatures are right there right now. In fact, we're in the upper 60s and lower 70s with plenty of sunshine early this afternoon. Even with those temperatures right around 70, we actually came in just a little bit below normal yesterday, believe it or not, because of where our low temperatures started. So our average was just a little bit off where we should be for this time of year. Our monthly temperature departure still showing the cool start to May that we've been experiencing, about 5 degrees below where we should be for this time of the month of May. A live look in Madison, though, if we keep getting days like this, that number will change into the positive side of the spectrum. On the Edgewater Skycam, looking at mostly to partly sunny skies. Right now, those temperatures at 68 degrees. Our humidity going up just a little bit, but again, still very tolerable with dew points in the lower 50s. Once you start getting into the upper 50s, lower 60s for those dew point values, I know it's been a while since we've talked about those in those categories, but that's really when you're starting to feel that air a little bit more outside. So we can definitely handle this. Upper 60s and lower 70s on our temperature map. Doppler track is quiet. There is a front just to our north that is causing some light showers across the state of Michigan right now. Now the question is whether or not that moisture gets a little bit closer to southern Wisconsin this afternoon. So we'll keep an isolated chance for a shower in the forecast for this afternoon, but most of us are probably dry. Now that changes as we get into early Thursday. Another system will come through and bring our rain chances and storm chances up for tomorrow, so expect to get wet for much of tomorrow afternoon. Have the umbrella with you. Some of those storms that do form tomorrow could be a little bit on the strong side, and we can say the same thing for Friday. So a couple of these thunderstorms that break out over the next couple of days could be a little bit strong to possibly even severe. So we'll watch that very closely with some gusty winds and small hail. The main threats there, along with some heavier downpours, and we can see that on future track coming through tomorrow during the morning and afternoon hours. And then as we get into Friday, some more rain is possible. Really a rainy stretch once again, unfortunately, setting up across southern Wisconsin. So by the time we get to Sunday, anywhere from about 1.5 inches to 3 inches of rain possible for southern Wisconsin, and that is the exact opposite of what the doctor ordered for our area. So hopefully we can avoid some of this rain, but we have a lot of storm chances in the forecast, and sooner or later when we have this type of setup, we're just going to get the heavy rain. It's not a question of if, it's a question of when over the next week to week and a half. So we'll need to have the umbrella kind of attached to us at the hip, I think, as we get into this weekend and for much of next week as well.
Yeah, you're right. It's the last thing we need.
Yeah, unfortunately.
What can you do?
Yeah.
Keep the umbrella handy.
Exactly.
Thank you, Dave. A group of students in Michigan wants to make sure an elementary schooler hurt in a car crash can still play on the playground. That story with News 3 Now at noon continues. High school woodshop students in Western Michigan are going the extra mile for a 6-year-old who wanted to get back to the playground. Candace Charles has the story.
Like most 6-year-olds, Nate Barazma loves to play in the sand. But a recent car crash left the kindergartner in a wheelchair, making it hard to enjoy his favorite activity.
Started thinking about ways to get Nate involved.
That's where these Thornapple Kellogg High School students come in. For these students, woodshop is about more than learning to make cool furniture.
It's actually turning out well.
And they say it's not about the grade either, but about making others
fill this up.
Happy.
I was thinking, this might be a nice little project for him.
It was just a service project. A dozen students coming together to make 2 standing sandboxes Nate could access from his wheelchair.
One of Nate's teachers let us know that he was kind of looking for a sandbox. And the week before, Lowe's donated a bunch of the material, so it all just came together like the perfect storm of goodness.
But it became so much more.
My ramp is smoother.
Making playtime for the 6-year-old once again possible.
It was heartwarming to see him, get the opportunities that we do. When I first saw him, whenever he was just playing with the sandbox, it was just, I thought it was gonna bring tears to his eyes.
And joy. And to this 6-year-old, it was simply
awesome.
Good for them, students helping each other.
Exactly.
And Dave, let's wrap up the weather.
All right, sounds good. Yeah, not a bad day to maybe play in some sandboxes this afternoon with lots of sunshine, temperatures near 70 degrees. Not a bad day for really any outdoor plans that you have. Maybe have lunch outside. I think we will be dry, temperatures in the upper 60s and lower 70s for the most part across southern Wisconsin. I can't rule out just a quick shower or two later this afternoon as a weak cold front passes over us, but really not looking at many of us getting those shower chances to be realized. Temperatures in the 70s for the second straight day outside across southern Wisconsin. Then we're dropping through the 60s and 50s in temperature land. Our rain and storm chances start to go up tomorrow morning and afternoon. We could be looking at some showers and storms, and some of those storms could be a little bit on the strong side.
All right, that's our time for now. Thanks for watching. We'll see you back here at 4. In the meantime, have a good afternoon.